So is this a live stream? I'm the only one.
Sorry, Billy, I cut you off there, but yes, it is a live stream. We are live right now. We are thrilled tonight with our guest. I'm Brian Carson and my co-host Kenny Barner. How you doing, Kenny?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Thrilled to have tonight's guest on here. We're going to talk high school football and a lot of it. We are here for an hour. And it's Billy Splain of PAFootballNews.com. And if you follow high school football and you love it and read about it, you know who Billy Splain is. And Billy, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Well, I hope they know who I am. Over 1 million people do know who I am. So obviously, the name's getting out there. But thanks for having me on the show, guys.
Yeah, and thank you. You have last week you were in Berwick to watch the Bulldogs play, like they used to be.
I did a show in Berwick. I did a show. We have a show called The State of PA Football. We do live broadcasts all over the state. Next week, I think I'm actually going to. I just talked to them today. Not this coming week, but the following week, I'm going to be over in Mifflin County at Wingman Brewing Co. So, and next week, last night I was down in York, PA at Parma Pizza. Next week I'm going to be down in Loyalsock. So we travel all over the place.
Before we get into specific questions, the games you covered this year so far in the first 3 weeks, what are your thoughts about high school here in PA, some of the teams you're looking at, and just your overall thoughts on high school football right now after 3 weeks?
I am just so glad to just be covering high school football. That's what I'm gonna get that out of the way right now. I'm just so glad we're just going out, opening the gates, letting the kids on the field, and we're just playing football. The last 2 years have been a nightmare. Yeah. But the kids are excited. It seems kind of like we're back to normal. The teams are playing good football or bad football. They're just playing football. I'm just happy. I'm just happy that for all the kids and for the fans and for the programs that we're back to normal.
And you came out that your organization you work with, well, before we get to that, before we got on the air, you were talking about something which I definitely is educational because I'm sure a lot of people don't even know that about NIL in high school. Yeah. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
So when college adopted the NIL, we knew eventually it was going to trickle down to high school sports. And it's going to several states. I think there are 17 states that already have NIL laws on their books with their athletic association. It's either 7 or 17. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty close. So right now the PIAA is working on wording. We did an interview with Bob. I talk to Bob Lombardi all the time, and we did an interview with Bob. We had Melissa Mertz on our first show of the year, and they're being very careful and they're being proactive to shut this down before it happens. And by shut it down, I mean they don't want it to get out of hand. They don't want it to become a free-for-all. So you're still going to have your amateur status, but kids are going to be allowed to use their name, image, and likeness. Now, when I say that, what I mean is they are not allowed to mention that they play football in any ads. They are not allowed to wear their school colors. They're not allowed to mention what school they go to. They're not allowed to mention that they play a sport. So basically it's their face and their name, and that's it. And the PIAA wants to make sure that the wording in their rule lets everyone know that that's what's happening. That's all you're allowed to do. So coaches, nobody in the school is going to be allowed to help a football player get a sponsorship. Booster clubs, we're seeing that now in college football. They are not allowed to be involved in helping a kid get an NIL, or they won't be. Right now, we do not have an NIL in high school football. So if you're a kid out there who's thinking about, hey, I'm going to go out and get a sponsor for my NIL, don't do it, because the second you do it, you give up your eligibility. We still have amateur status rules in the PIAA in Pennsylvania. You cannot have a sponsor, even if it's for free. If you're representing your school and you're putting their name and you're saying, hey, go be a patient at John's Dental or whatever, don't, because you're not allowed to right now. You ruin your amateur status. So it's a slippery slope, guys. It's very slippery, and the PIAA is working very hard to get ahead of it.
I'm sure. I'm definitely slippery. So they get paid?
They can get paid. There are no limits, but we discussed this when we were off the air. Again, it's your name, image, and likeness. Okay, folks. So honestly, can you think of many athletes that you know of in the state of Pennsylvania who are worth thousands of dollars just to get on TV and say, hi, I'm Johnny Smith. Go see Dr. Johnson if you want your kidney removed. I mean, there aren't very many kids that I know of in the past 10 years that are worth any kind of significant money for that. Now, in college, these organizations like 247 and other, they do these, they give kids an NIL value. And there's a kid out in Pittsburgh right now who has a $350,000 NIL value. That's his value, what they think he could make once he transitions from high school to college. That's not going to happen in high school football or high school sports as it stands. That's just not going to happen, because, I mean, like, you might get a car dealership that wants them to do a commercial and they'll give them like a free rental, or, some free popcorn or something like that, maybe a $200 check or something. But you're not going to, I don't think we're going to see that much at all.
Live internet, baby. Things happen.
Yeah, so it's kind of crazy. But
yeah, because I think, we talked about that briefly off the air. I know, I mean, we're focusing on high school football, but I really honestly, the first couple of weeks of college football, I can't stand it. It's like, it is like free agency in college football. I saw one team that had half their starters were transfers.
Yeah.
Half their starters.
Yeah. Right. Just, talking to college coaches, they're saying right now it's the wild, wild west. Things are going to change. The NCAA never got ahead of it. They never tackled it before it happened. And I think you're going to see some changes coming. That's what some of the college coaches say. They tell kids, hey, don't worry about money. You need to come to our school first. So it's kind of weird, but it is what it is. It's something we have to live with.
Let's get to high school football here now, your specialty. We had a big upset last week when perennial state champion Southern Columbia lost to Loyalsock 27-10. And to put it in perspective, since 2015, when they started making their second state championship run, they had one back in the early 2000s. They are 108-3. Southern Columbia is since 2015. What do you make of that? The loss to Loyalsock?
I don't make anything of it. Loyalsock's a really good, really talented 3A team that we had in our rankings to start the year. I knew Loyalsock was going to be a very good team. I also knew that eventually the run ends. I'm from Berwick, so we had our run. Runs end. Southern Columbia had their run. I wouldn't be surprised if Southern Columbia lost another game this year. Now they were without their star linebacker Gavin Garcia. This is the first time in 7 years that they haven't had a Garcia running the ball. So that was usually a lock. Give Garcia the ball, and he runs for. That's pretty much a lock, whether it was Gavin or whether it was Gage Garcia. Gage is having a great year so far at Lehigh. He's doing really good, but I wasn't surprised by it. I was surprised a little bit by the dominance that Loyalsock had over them, but no, it didn't surprise me at all. Several of us, when we do our rankings, our state rankings, we have a meeting on Sunday night, and there were a bunch of us who were pretty much all in agreement that this may be the year Southern Columbia doesn't go to the state championships.
Wow. Shows you how good they are, though, because in the past, because you still, even with the loss, you guys have them ranked 5th in the state. Faro out of District 10 is number 1.
They're a very good football team. Don't get me wrong. Jim Roth is a mastermind. Berwick had them down 14-0 to start the season. That's a huge rivalry. But that was the week we had all those thunderstorms come through. They delayed the game for an hour and a half. You cannot give Jim Roth an hour and a half to adjust. And they came out and after their adjustment, they beat Berwick. So that's one thing. Jim Roth is a great coach. Learned from one of the best. You know, him and George Curry were friends, and they talked together. You know, and Jim Roth changed some things. So now Southern used to go to the state championships and lose every year. A lot of people forget about it. You know,
I remember that.
It's a masterful program that they have there. Their training is awesome. A lot of people accuse them of being of recruiting, but I mean, honestly, 5 years ago they had a good team with a couple of D1 athletes. 2 of them remain at their D1 school, at those schools that they went to. 3 of them, 1 of them haven't started, and 2 of them went back down to FCS schools. So the other ones left are the kid over at Michigan State, and of course the receiver at Ohio State. Those are the only 2 still with those teams. So
yeah, I think it comes with winning too. Berwick was accused a lot in their heyday for recruiting. So it just comes with the territory.
Yeah, we were accused of it, you know, but one of the things was, one of the funniest ones was, there was a story going around that Ron Paulus came from New Jersey, and I said, well, that was an awful long drive for him to come play for the Nescopec Raiders in midget football, which I coached. You know.
Yeah. Boy.
It is silliness. But yeah, I mean, that's their first loss to a District 4 team in the regular season since 2011.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, that is absolutely crazy. When I was going back before, a couple days before the show here, when I knew you were going to be on and Southern Columbia losing, when I went back and looked what they have done, I mean, God, since, like you said, they did lose a lot, but since that they had a little run from 2000, I mean, they lost in the state 2000, 2001, then from 2002 to 6 won it. And now they've won it from 15 to 21, except for 2016. And to go, 108-3 and 5 undefeated seasons, it's just like crazy. And I saw with Jim Roth, somebody told me that he's had 35 of his 38 years with at least 10 wins and has never had a losing season.
They were minutes away from shutting the program down.
Really?
They almost shut the program down back when Jim Roth had started coaching, and they actually had a monumental losing streak. And they were considering shutting it down, and Jim said, let's give it one more year. They went out, they won their first game in, I think, 2 years. They shut school down that next day, and that is a moment Jim Ross says defined this program, and they turned it around. And the next year they were in the state playoffs, or not the state playoffs, but the next year they had a good year. They didn't have state playoffs back then, but and then he turned it around and they just started winning.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's something that if they would have stopped that program when it became.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah, can you imagine those Southern Columbia? I mean, they've been to what, 20 PIAA finals?
Yeah.
Unreal that it could have been shut down. I didn't know that. So let's look across this state here that you cover so well. Who are the teams? I mean, it doesn't matter the class. Who are the teams that, in your eyes, that stand out to you?
Well, of course, you have St. Joe's Prep down in 6A down in Philadelphia. They got beat up pretty bad last year by Mount Lebanon, had the class of the ages for their team. So I look at St. Joe's Prep. I look for them to be, contenders and probably complete their journey to go to Cumberland Valley and play in the championship. But they've got some tough teams. Garnet Valley is going to be good. State College actually has a very good football team this year.
Yes, they do.
I would not be surprised to see State College in the mix at the end of the season. But they've got that mid-pen. They've got the mid-pen to go through, and that is just a brutal conference. The Mid-Penn Commonwealth.
Yes, it is.
It's the second.
I mean, Central Dolphins, not what they used to be, but you got Cumberland Valley, Harrisburg. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, Cumberland Valley is actually having a really good year. We have Cumberland Valley ranked ahead of State College right now. Cumberland Valley has a couple of very nice wins this year so far, and so they're having a good year. Carlisle is a good football team. We're going to find out how good they are this weekend. So it's going to be tough. And of course, State College has their version of the backyard brawl with Altoona, since they don't play Mifflin County anymore. So that's their closest to a rivalry right there. That's down in Altoona. I think that might be where I end up this week, just to go down. That's my home away from home, Mansion Park.
There you go. If you get that game, you'll have to tell me what the Sheffy kid looks like, the freshman. He's gotten everybody's attention already.
I watched their film. He looks really good. We've covered all their games so far this year. He's a really good football player. He's going to do good things for State College.
So they're in the 6A. You like Prep?
Yeah, I like Prep to probably get there, but you can't code out teams like Coatesville or Emmaus down in District 11. That Emmaus plays in the number one conference in the state, in my eyes. The EPC South is just it's a brutal conference. Like I said, it's different for State College because one thing is Delaware Valley. It used to be State College against Delaware Valley in the quarterfinals. It was automatic, but Del Val dropped down to 5A, so State College will have a different opponent this year, and so it's going to look different. McDowell is looking very good up in District 10. They just took one on the chin to North Allegheny, though. We had them ranked up at 6th, dropped them down to 10 or so like that. But 6A is going to be a battle. We just kind of sit back and watch 6A. We never know what's going to happen there.
If you just tuned in, we are with Billy Splain of Pennsylvania Football News, getting some education on high school football this year. If you have a question, just put it in the chat box, and I'm sure Billy will be happy to answer it. And let's move on now to 5A. You guys have Upper Dublin at number 1, and then the always tough Imhotep Charter at number 2.
Yeah, Imhotep Charter, they were number 1. Great school. I got to know them very well last year. It was one of the benefits that I guess my website had out of the C word. I don't say the word anymore. I'm tired of it. But
Me too.
They had spring football in Philadelphia. They had a spring league down there, and they actually had 2 leagues down there that played. And me and my staff went to Philadelphia, and we covered every single spring football game in Philadelphia that was held. We covered approximately 13 games, 14 games a week for 8 weeks. So I got to know a lot of them down there. I got to know the Imhotep staff, great group of kids. I mean, Imhotep is misunderstood. Yes, kids go there. Yes, they see a path there. What people don't understand about Philadelphia is one school district. There are 26 schools that are considered one school district. That would be like Bellefonte having 26 high schools.
Wow.
So you can literally just slide around schools if you want. You can be at 4 different schools in your high school career, and it's not considered a transfer because it's one school district. The PIAA has tried to battle that. They've tried to make them say that the buildings are the district. You know, they adhere to the transfer rules. But Imhotep, if you saw their facilities, you would just be like, "Oh my gosh, how is this team competitive?" They play on a field. It's a public park. They don't have locker rooms. They get dressed on their way to their practice. They have no locker rooms there.
Oh my Lord!
They share a field with all the Philadelphia schools. There's about 6 fields down there that all the schools share. That's why you see them playing on Thursday afternoons, Thursday nights, Friday afternoon, Friday night, Saturday afternoon, and Saturday night. They have a couple. They call them super sites, and that's where everybody plays their games. There are very few teams down there that have their own field in District 12. But Imhotep Charter is a pretty good school, pretty good team this year. We dropped them because of the way they lost. I mean, you shouldn't give up those last minute bomb touchdowns like that. But the other reason we pulled Upper Dublin up is they're a very good team led by Colin O'Sullivan at quarterback. He's a D1 quarterback all the way, and their offense is explosive. Upper Dublin actually scored 2 touchdowns in the last minute to win last week. So we combined that with others, and we said, you know what, that's worth giving them the top spot.
On the western side, you have Gateway number 3.
We're waiting to see what Gateway is. I mean, sometimes doing rankings is a crapshoot. We have people from all over the state in our group that do the rankings. Gateway seems to be the best team in the WPIAL. We also kind of cheat. We go backwards through the brackets to see who's probably going to land where. So That's kind of one of the way we do our brackets. So it's pretty much going to come down to either Gateway or we think Penn Hills has a shot. Peters Township is pretty good too, and just Peters Township. Those are the 3 teams. Upper St. Clair has a shot as well, but so we think Gateway's the team. Ruston has they lost a great running back last year, but their offensive line is stout. They're playing good football. Exeter Township is interesting. I don't know, Kenny, were you at their playoff game last year when they were at Bald Eagle?
No, I wasn't actually.
Yeah, they got smoked by Penn Trafford, who is not in our countdown. So they have a tight end he was a tight end last year. He's a Penn State commit, and they put him at quarterback this year. So we didn't know what to expect out of them, but it's working.
Wow, tight end to quarterback. That's a switch.
Yeah.
So so you're like Dublin right now, maybe in 5A. I know it's early, but to take it? Or Imhotep?
No, I don't like anybody to take it. It's too early to call. Way too early to call.
Putting you on the spot.
Roman Catholic has 16 kids with Division I offers. They could come out of it.
16.
Yeah. They
Not
have a
bad.
very nice team. But then again, some of these teams have to play Malvern Prep, who is not a PIAA team, so they will not be heading to the state championships, but they still have to play them, and that'll give us a good judge of who's good, who's not. They're a very good team. Strathaven is a very good team down in District 1. Chester is playing really well. Chester won a game, I think it was 81-0 this year. So
That'll make our buddy Dave Berman happy talking about Chester.
Dave Berman. That's a whole other deal right there.
He's a Chester guy. You know that.
Yep, he is a Chester guy, but he's also a Mifflin guy.
I mean, it's unusual. Chester obviously is known for basketball, not football.
Yeah. Unfortunately, down there, it's
too many good teams.
And we get into this whole transfer thing again, and kids transfer out of Chester, so and they're going to the football powerhouses. So it's basketball's kind of iffy. But I'll tell you what, Chester last year won the spring football championship last year. We presented them football. They played Harry S. Truman in the championship game. We were down there for that. So they were a good team last year, and they continued where they left off this year. They had a good team in the fall, too.
Go to 4A here, Aliquippa. That's a name that's traditional power. And before we get to them, I want to talk about McDevitt. Mifflin County has the unfortunate we have to play them here. And McDevitt went down to LaSalle and beat them pretty handily. What's your thoughts on McDevitt?
McDevitt came this close to beating Imhotep in the first week.
I saw that.
We were down. I was there at the Peach Bowl for that. I actually helped Ron Corsi line that up. We do a lot of that stuff. Ron and I work together to set those teams up. They're a very good football team. They probably should have won that game. One of their receivers had not one, but two touchdown passes go right through his hands in the end zone. You can't drop passes like that. They had a holding call that wasn't called in the end zone. So they had their opportunities and just came up a score short in that game. Then they had a week off because Middletown, unfortunately, had to cancel their season. That's just brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal all the way in that situation. And they went down to LaSalle, and I talked to Coach Wechter, and he said they were ready. They were fired up. Now, if you remember, last year, McDevitt also lost early in the season, turned it around, and ended up going to the state championship game.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
And then obviously number one, you have Aliquippa. There are tons of tradition there. Tons and tons of tradition, and tons of offensive linemen. That helps.
Taquai Hayes, one of the most electric running backs in the state of Pennsylvania. Their quarterback play is solid. Their defense is solid. So, yeah, I mean, they did struggle in we call it week 1, week 2, I don't know, whatever, their second game. They struggled a little bit to get it going, but, you have to give teams mulligans in the beginning of the year. I expect them to pick it up. Now, they do have a tough schedule. So there are no gimmies on there's only a couple gimmies on their schedule. So they got to play McKeesport, who is playing really good football. McKeesport just with the skin of their teeth upset over, I guess you would call it an upset over number 1 3A ranked Bell Vernon last week. 4A is loaded. You've got Allentown Central Catholic, who with their one loss, but again, and I'll talk about that for a second. If you guys want to follow good football, follow the EPC South. You've got Bethlehem Liberty, who, by the way, if you like bands, go see Bethlehem Liberty play sometime. They have like 350 member band, and they have a huge bagpipe section. It's awesome. It's incredible.
Bagpipes.
But yeah, you have Liberty, you have Bethlehem Freedom, you have Bethlehem Catholic, you have Allentown Central Catholic, you have Easton, you have Emmaus. All those teams down there just beat the snot out of each other every week. And you never know who's going to win week to week. It's a pick'em. So that 4A is tough. Allentown Central Catholic is in there. Then you've got, and here's the unusual thing about 4A this year in Pennsylvania is, and I think this is the only time it's ever happened where a conference, not just a classification, but a conference has two defending state champions in Aliquippa and Central Valley, who was a 3A champion last year, but they moved up to 4A. So we looked through all through the records and we couldn't find this happening. So in that conference, there are two state champions.
Wow.
2 state champs. That is something. Man, no days. Anybody else in 4A catching your eye? I mean, I got to mention, because he's an old buddy of mine, Tom Gravish, what he's Jersey Shore.
Hey,
is awesome.
Hey, let me tell you about Tommy. You know, he's one of my favorite folks to interview. Hey, we have him going. You know, Jersey Shore actually leads the state in scoring with 188 points. So they're playing good football. They just beat the snot out of Steelers last week. Now Steelers has 4 injured players not in the game, but you know that's but they're strong.
So, Kenny, you got anything you'd like to add to this?
Has there been any team early this season that's really stuck out to you as being a surprise?
We're getting a little feedback here.
Yeah. What'd you say, Kenny? I'm sorry. There must have been a glitch.
Oh, that's is there that's been a surprise team so far this season?
Is there a surprise this season?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think there have been any. To be honest. I mean, everybody who I thought was going to win is winning. So, no surprises this year.
Okay.
All right, let's. Anything else, Ken? I know I can sometimes hog the conversation. Just cut in.
Yeah, for right now. I'll chime in later.
All right, let's move on to 3A. You have why I'm missing number 1. You mentioned Bell Vernon, how they lost and moved down to number 2. What are your thoughts, Billy, on 3A?
In 3A, why I'm missing is tough. Danville is the number 2 scoring team in the state. Loyal Sox and Danville. Now remember, Loyal Sox just beat.
Yeah.
They play this week. I think that game's at Loyal Sox. So that's going to be an interesting game.
Yeah, definitely. Another thing I saw on here, haven't been back in a while, but Tyrone is back in the rankings and in a conversation. What do you have to say about the Golden Eagles?
Johnny Franklin has a good one. It took him a little while to turn that team back to what he used to have. But they're a good football team, and the Mid-Penn is in a battle. Or not, I'm sorry, not the Mid-Penn. Boy, we have a massive on my end.
Yeah, me too.
I don't
know where it came from. It wasn't there.
No, I know. I'm hearing it too, and I don't know where it's coming from. Because everything was going fine, at least on my end. Are you still getting it?
Yeah, it's still coming a little bit.
Yeah, I still have it. It's like a delay. That's kind of weird. But anyway, we can continue on.
Yeah, let's try to power through. Hopefully it'll stop.
Yeah. So where were we? Penn Camry knocked off Central. AJ Hohenstein still had 4 touchdowns. But Penn Camry is looking really good. Garrett Harold's a good quarterback. Avonworth is probably the second best team, maybe the third best team in Whitfield, but now it looks like Wyoming, Bell Vernon, Boylston, and Danville. That's what I'm thinking. We know it wasn't Kenny getting the feedback because he's gone.
Yeah. How about now?
I don't have any now.
Okay.
Yep, I hear me.
I think I solved the problem. I think my mic was up too loud. That was picking everything up.
That would do it. I can still hear me. So,
geez. Live streaming, you gotta love it.
Wait, listen. Up until minutes before the broadcast last night on my show,
yeah,
we do our show. We have a guy in Auburn, PA, who goes online and gets in my computer and runs my computer from his cut. And so he runs my soundboard and everything from his. And his computer just decided to restart and update right before the show.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
What we're talking about when it comes to live stream. Okay,
is it better now, though?
I'm still picking up some feedback.
You're still picking it up?
Yeah.
Jeez, I got the mic turned down and everything. I have no idea. Oh, that's good.
Well, I'm still getting the echo. So anyway, there's two teams. That's it.
2A, you have Farrell, number 1. Westinghouse is second, and then the all-time. No, are they second or first? The all-time winningest team in PA, Mount Carmel.
That's right.
And Southern, Bishop Guilfoyle, always tough. Richland, that's 2A is pretty tough too, wouldn't you say?
2A, year in, year out, is the toughest division to get to a state championship. Not only because Southern Columbia has been there, but because the teams in 2A are just really strong. I mean, Westinghouse right now is playing good football. You can expect them to meet up with Farrell in the semifinals. I think Farrell looks like right now the best 2A team in the state. Yeah, it's not.
They've been good for a while too, right?
Yeah, Farrell's been a good football team, but they look really strong. Really strong. So, I mean, they have one loss, but that loss was a very strong early original team. And they lost in the shootout. So,
now, I know it's too early, but you said when the show started that Southern may be beatable this year. What teams in 2A do you think have a chance?
You're looking at one of them right now.
Farrell.
Mount Carmel.
Oh, Mount Carmel.
They play in 3 weeks. Mount Carmel has 3 weeks.
That should be great.
Yeah, it's going to be a great one. Mount Carmel has 3 Division I athletes. And they're very strong. They're big at the line. Their quarterback plays solid. Their running back plays solid. Chicatano, a tight end, was a very strong tight end. So, I mean, that's another game. So it's going to be good news.
And I saw it, which is pretty nice. So District 6 doesn't get a lot of, there's not a lot of great football here. There's some, but I see 2 are ranked, Richland and Guilfoyle. And Richland's coached by, is it the Bailey kid?
Yeah, Richland is coached by Brandon Bailey. Very good
I
coach.
call him a kid. Everybody's a kid to me.
Good friend. Brandon Bailey's a good football coach. They've ended up with Southern Columbia several times in the last few years, and that just seems to be their downfall.
Well, that's understandable. Good, both good teams. Anybody else you see in 2A? I mean, we went through quite a bit of it.
Williams Valley, down in District 11. That's an interesting situation down there. Timmy Savage, the head coach down there, he's a funny head coach. He's one of the best interviews you can ever have. But he doesn't hold punches back. But they are, this is what he called one of his best teams ever. Now, they always battled it out with Tri Valley down there in District 11 to go to the playoffs. But this year, they got bumped up by one play.
Well, I covered them a couple of times because they used to be in the same. They used to be in the same conference with Juniata, I think.
Yep.
Because Juniata played them a couple of times. I covered them.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, they always had maybe not this good, but they always had a solid team.
Yeah, if you want to have a surprise this year, you call it Juniata. I thought they were going to win the last game, but they didn't. They got shut out by West Perry.
And then we go finally to 1A. You Pro Football News has Steel High, number 1. Bishop Canavan out of District 7 is second. You want to talk about those two teams?
They played each other. That's Steel High's first loss, or I'm sorry, Bishop Canavan's first loss. So we could actually see those two teams play in the state championship game. So we might have already seen a preview, and that was also in the Peach Bowl down at Chambersburg. But you can't count out Canton. Reynolds will be there looking at the brackets. Reynolds the first loss, but it was number 7 Sharpsville in 2A.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. Reynolds, I'm a wrestling guy first and foremost, and Reynolds has always been a superpower in wrestling, but this is the first time I've really heard of them in football.
Yeah, they took the world by storm last year. They were a good team, went deep into playoffs. This year, I actually ran into the coach. He had a 7-7 in the summer, and he said, "Billy, you need to keep your eye on us." They brought their entire team back. They did not have a senior football team on that team. So when you're
I'm going to sound. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
When you're that good and you return to your team, you're good again.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to sound out of it, out of touch, but OLSH, who the hell is that? Oh, okay.
Yeah. New coach, same team, same play, and they're playing good football. And then
another team that's been there, at least in the top 10, not state finals or anything, but Winber. And they have tradition 2 out of 5. I don't know if they still do. I've been out of the loop for a while as far as traveling around the different high schools, but they used to run the wing tee.
Not used to.
They still do?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love it.
They threw the ball 3 times in Chambersburg in week 0, 2 times in week 1, and I don't think they threw the ball at all last week. John Schuster, great running back. Matt Grohall, he actually spends a lot of time in your neck of the woods. He's a great friend of mine. Huge race fan. So he's always down at Williamsburg and Royal.
That's pretty nice to see. And still running the wing tee. I want to jump back a minute to your stomping grounds, Berwick. How are they? Are they coming back at all a little bit?
Berwick is a team in transition. When George Curry died, a part of the program died with him. So before he passed away, they replaced him with Gary Campbell out of Massachusetts. He did an okay job, but he didn't do what George Curry did. And when they realized and Gary Campbell decided to go back to Massachusetts, he brought George in. And his first year back, they went to the state semi. Unfortunately, the following year, he was diagnosed with ALS.
Oh, God.
So he passed away after that season. And they brought in people from who did a nice job, but the team was in disarray. So Carm was just there basically to train coaching staffs and stuff. And they hired Mike Bennett, who played on the 1919 championship team for Berlin. And they lost their first two games. They had Southern Columbia down. They didn't pull it out. The next week, they lost a minute to Valley View. And then this week, they took around and it was 48-0 tonight.
Wow.
So, I mean,
it's pretty hard to be, to escape George Curry's shadow. It's going to be the same thing that happens whoever takes over at Southern when Jim Roth decides to hang it up.
That's actually 100% correct. That is. You think about it. I mean, he's probably pretty close to stepping down. Here's a piece of evidence for you. He broke George Curry's winning record at Hershey Park during the championship game 2 years ago. And the next team on the field, and the first mascot on the field was the Detroit Bulldog.
Oh, my.
Being from Berlin, I was probably too.
So I was surprised about that. I thought you guys had, you knew your assignments, but you're saying most of the time you don't know where you're going to be going from week to week.
I don't. My guys do.
Okay.
I wait until they pick their games where they're going, and then I decide where I'm going to go.
Yeah, do you have a say in where you want to go?
We do have guys that cover the same kind of region. But if the teams are away, or they're playing each other, we have Phillipsburg and Belmont. Or no, Tyrone. Who does Phillipsburg play, Kenny?
Tyrone and Belfont play. I'm not sure who Phillips.
I'm not sure what Kenny just.
Yeah, you broke up there a little, Kenny, when you were talking.
Oh.
Who do they play?
Tyrone plays Belfont this week, and I'm not sure who Phillipsburg plays.
Tyrone plays Belfont.
Yeah.
So it's a toss-up. I probably won't go to Belfont just because we know what the score is going to be. There's a big game at Penzance. You going there, Kenny?
What? You're kind of getting some static here.
Penns Valley. Are you going to that?
No, I'm actually heading down to Juniata this weekend.
Big battle at Pennsville with Blue Eagle. That could be the deciding game for the last non-league title.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that would be something.
It could be there. I mean,
Is the Mountain League dissolving?
There's another surprise for me. I thought the Eagle would be better to start the year. I thought they would start 3-0, but they lost to Troy, and then they lost the following week. So that was kind of weird for me.
Put you on a spot here. I don't want to alienate you from anybody, but is there any certain area, team, stadium that you like best, like going to?
Oh boy. I like State College's atmosphere. The Mansion Park is my home away from home.
Yeah, that is a nice place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I covered 8 to 10 games a year there. Phil Riccio is a good friend. They were very close to getting the state championships back. Very close. I would say no. I mean, I just like going to football games. There's no every if you've ever been to Kiski Prep out west out near Portsmouth 20,
yeah,
they've got covered bleacher, and across the street is houses. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
As a football fan, I wouldn't mind living in one of those houses. You get to watch football game on your phone.
You mentioned one before, but your favorite coaches to interview. Can you run some down?
There are many different coaches that I'd like to interview. Jeff Wechter at Bishop McDevitt's a good interview. We just had 3 great coaches on our show last night. Gary Onchuk down at Central New York is an incredible. He's a great guy, just a phenomenal person. I love Tommy Gravis.
Yeah, me too.
He's funny. I like different guys. I mean, Mike Farr down at Scooter Havens is a nice guy. He doesn't pull punches. I mentioned Tim Savage earlier. He was a great interview. Always a great interview. I'll tell you who was tough. Kenny, were you coaching with Tom? Who was at? Were you doing this?
What one was that?
Back when Hootie was at Huntington.
Yeah, I vaguely remember.
I remember him.
So how was your game, Hootie? Good.
Yeah, I mean, oh my God, I used to cover him when they, every year they open with Mount Union, and oh my Lord, it was like trying to pull teeth to get answers from him.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, it was tough. It was difficult. It was great. Fortunately, I also work with the PSFCA and the Big 33. I'm on the Big 33 committee, so I get to work with coaches from all over the state of PA, and they're all phenomenal coaches. I just enjoy getting to know all the coaches. I don't. As far as the favorite go, I don't have a favorite, but there are guys who are. Let's just say they're easier to interview than others. Marty Tobias at Pennsylvania is a tough interview.
Yeah, he could be. Absolutely. I've interviewed him a couple of times.
Yeah, he's another one. Marty, your defense stepped up this week. They did.
Don't you love it? You're dying out there. It's like, please, God, say something.
Yeah. I just love doing what I do. You have to.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I travel all over in 2 weeks. I'm going to Philadelphia for the entire weekend. I'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 games that weekend. We're doing a show down there too. I travel all over the place. I just enjoy going to different atmospheres.
Definitely.
Mhm.
The state of football in PA. What are your thoughts on it? I mean, I've had a lot of comments from people telling me, which in some sense I agree that it's not as good as it used to be. What are your thoughts on high school football in PA?
It's still good football. It really is still good football. The demographics in Pennsylvania have changed. If you could look at a map of Pennsylvania and pull up a bubble, I actually have a map. But if you pull up a bubble and look at all the 1A teams, they're all from State College West. There's a few of them in the East. Most of them are out west from State College West. Up in District 10, 1A football is on.
I don't know. I lost everything.
Am I here?
I still have connection.
Hey, anybody, can they hear me?
Yep.
Can anybody hear me?
Loud and clear.
I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Oh, we lost them.
Well, you can hear me, right, Kenny?
Yeah, loud and clear. Yep.
I don't have an echo now.
No, I don't either.
It must be on his end.
Hello?
We figured out who's giving us the echo, Brian.
Who, me?
Not anymore.
No, you're good now.
I had to get out of it because I didn't hear Billy at all at the end there talking about Pennsylvania high school. So it is me. I'm being the one that's a bastard on this. I apologize.
The whole show is you. So Pennsylvania, yeah, but the demographics in Pennsylvania are changing drastically. All the 2A schools are out west. 3A is kind of scattered throughout. 4A, the same thing, but you start moving east with 4A. And then once you get into 5A and 6A, it's all in the east. As a matter of fact, 6A, down in the southeast of PA from Harrisburg to Altoona, to Allentown and south, that's where all the 6A teams are. The Whitfield only has 9-6. There are only 11 6A teams from State College West. State College, McDowell, and the 7 teams that are, or the 9 teams that are in the Whitfield. That's it. The rest of them are from Harrisburg south. So the demographics are changing in high school football in Pennsylvania. Everything's going east. You could go out in east. I mean, you remember the heyday when you could go to a stadium anywhere around and see 5 to 8 to 10,000 people in a stadium. You can still see that down in the southeast PA. You can still find that, but not out west. The other thing that I'm not a big fan of that's changing football in Pennsylvania is live streams. I tell teams all the time, why would you want people to not come to your game? Why would you give today's lazy fan a reason to not come out when it's a little bit drizzly? Why do that? Make them come out to your game. If you want to live stream it, hey, broadcast it the next day. They'll still watch if they want to watch.
Absolutely.
The excuse I get, I'll tell the story, but the excuse I get, I don't know how we are on time, but
we're good. We're good.
Our alumni who are across the country, they want to see it. Let them watch it the next day. They'll watch it if they're interested. Let them watch it the next day. Make your fans come out. Bald Eagle area several years ago went to their first. They had their first state playoff game in program history. And that evening, it was drizzly and cold. That season is the season they started live streaming their games. Jesse Nagel was not a fan. And after that game, I said to Jesse, I said, man, there's nobody here. And he said, I know. And the next day he called me and he was angry. He went upstairs and he saw on their thing that 2,200 people watched their game, but nobody was in the stands. So why do that to your program? Make the people come out. Make them come see you. You know, I'm not a fan of live stream.
I'm not a fan of it tonight.
It's good now. It's good now. Hey, listen, I do this stuff every week, and we have glitches every week. My first week, we had to record the show and show it the next day. So, doing live streams can be difficult until you get it down.
Yeah, true. We're learning that.
I think my guy Dan has got it down. I really enjoy doing our shows every week. But yeah, that's what's changed in Pennsylvania. That's what's changed is the demographics have changed. Down there they don't have any problem with roster sizes, but you see out in Northwest PA, teams are they don't have enough kids to play.
Right.
Even north, Athens or not Athens, Sarah had to shut their program down. They didn't have enough kids. Now Bucktail, they go out with 17 kids every week, get their asses kicked, and they line up the next week and do it again. They've been doing that for years. But I don't know what the difference is. But it's mostly demographics in Pennsylvania is what the big difference is than what it used to be. I would love to go back to when we had state championship games and we didn't have enough room in Hershey Park, but those days are gone.
Yeah, definitely, sadly. Billy, the hour went by too quick. Thank you so much for coming on. Learned some stuff. Had a great time with you here, and I also read a lot of your posts on Facebook, and that's a story for another time. But we agree on some politics and things.
That was an accident. That wasn't supposed to be on my PA Football News Facebook page. I don't like the new Facebook algorithm. I didn't know I was on that page, but on my personal page, I don't do much. I don't do anything about football. I keep that personal. If we have the same political view, congratulations. If we don't, I still like you.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Kenny, you want to say anything or add anything before we go?
I just appreciate being here, and I'm sorry I didn't get to ask any questions. Sitting in a parking lot here, and I had a couple distractions. I can tell you that later, but it's fun listening to everything. I learned a lot, and thanks again for being out here and coming on our show.
It's always fun to talk football. I could do it for hours. I could literally run a show every day for 6 hours a day and talk high school football. It's my passion. It's what I do. It's what we do. What we do at PAFootballNews.com. My staff is amazing. I have great photographers. I have great writers. We do a lot of internships. Some of my interns turn out to be great writers. Brian, I mentioned to you before that I think we're going to be doing a show over at Wingman Barbecue, and I'd love to have you come on the show when we're over there. I'll let you know for sure.
All right, sounds good.
I just got to wait for Craig to call me back tomorrow.
Okay, did you hear that, people? Maybe Billy will be at Wingman Brewing Q. Get out there and talk high school football and listen to some good information. Billy, once again, thank you.
If this happens, we'll have Shane and the Mifflin County Huskies there. We'll have Mount Union and Tony Sotisani there, and I'll hopefully get Juniata up there with Coach Conti, and we'll have a blast. It's fun.
Sounds good. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure, Brian. Anytime you guys need somebody to come on the show, just give me a holler.
Definitely. I'll definitely take you up on that. This has been fun.
Kenny, I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Oh, definitely. Hey, thanks a lot again.
Always on the sideline somewhere.
Always.
All right. That's going to wrap it up for tonight on the Press Box. For Kenny Varner, I'm Brian Carson. We want to thank our guest, Billy Splain from PAFootballNews.com. Great show tonight. The hour went by too quick, but we'll be back next Wednesday for another show. We will have Jeff Miller, Juniata cross-country coach, and the Indians are actually making a lot of noise, not only in District 6, but in the state this year with what they did at the Big Valley Invitational. So we'll have Miller on. We want to thank Billy Splain once again. All right, everybody. You've been listening to the Press Box. Thanks for hanging in there with us. Have a great night.